Okay, I wanted to show you how I've been doing the videos. I find that this is a little bit simpler, and then it also helps to streamline everything. So what I do is I open the Camtasia, and then I'm going to go ahead and open a project. So because what I do is I keep a copy of it in a folder. So here you can see I have a draft. It's a property video. I say the size, and then it's size for Facebook, YouTube, and LinkedIn. So I'm going to go ahead and choose that one. And how this helps is that you have all the basic information in there, and you don't have to redo it every single time. So let me just let this load. Okay, so here you will see the last project that I did, and it shows track 1 is the music, track 2 is the pictures, track 3 I actually added these two little icons over here. You can see they have to have those in their videos, so we may be able to add them to this graphic, but I didn't for this one, so I just added it there. Track 4 is text, I believe. Oh no, it's in this one, and I'll show you why I did this. I added some backgrounds, like this background here, because you couldn't really see the lettering. And then the next one up is the lettering here. So this is basically the template, and this is, you know, what we can always use. Now let's say we have a brand new property that we're going to be adding, and this is how you would do it. So the big thing that's going to change are the pictures and then the words that you use. The end stuff is going to be very similar. So let's do this. We're going to go ahead and click on this track 1, do a right click, and do insert track, and then insert it above. So now you have a blank one here, right? So now you're going to go up to the media here. You're going to go ahead and press on the plus sign, import media, and then what we're going to do is we're going to find this realtor's listing, and I'm going to go ahead and work on this one here. And then what you can do is you just copy all the pictures and open it, and what that's going to do is it'll add all those properties or all those pictures to the media bin. The next thing that you're going to do is you'll go ahead and drag and drop all the new pictures that you're going to use in the video and put them on this line here, and I'll show you why I do it that way in a second. So just drag and drop it, bring it down here, and then to get the timing right, so like these ones, what I do is a good pace is what you can do is you right click here, press duration, and you're going to see that this first slide is 4 seconds long, right? So let's make this bottom one the same way. Right click, duration, and go ahead and choose 4. Okay, so now that's going to be the same size, right? So now let's come down to the next one, and we're going to adjust the durations on all of these as we go across. So a good duration is a little over 2 seconds, no more than 3. So like this one here, I did 2.3, and that seemed to be a good pace. So I'm going to right click, do the duration, do 2.3, and press OK. And then I'm just going to continue the whole thing one at a time. Right click, duration, 2.3. OK. And I'm going to pause this for a moment and just finish that. Okay, so what you'll see is I now have all the pictures that I need on the bottom. And now what I would do, and I'm just going to show you, I'm going to change it at this point, but then if you have this template done for the agent, then you can just move their final graphic to the end here, and then let me show you this. Oops. Then the next step is you're going to have to resize those pictures. And then after that, you would add these transitions, okay? So now what we can do is we're going to work on this line here. So we can remove that one. So we're going to remove the track. So this is track 3. This is the old pictures. We're going to just remove that track. Has media on it? Yes. So now that goes away. And everything kind of moved down. And we're going to get rid of this. I'm going to change that. So we're going to get rid of this track as well. And you won't need to do that on your template because it'll already be done. So, so now again we have the music, we have the pictures, we have this one here was just adding colored boxes, and then we have the text. So sometimes you're not going to have this one with the colored boxes because it's not going to be needed. I just added it here because everything was like really light. Okay, so the next thing that you're going to do is size the pictures. So here we have, you'll notice when you come up here, see how the picture's small? And this one we already know it's the template for that 16:9 size. So we know we want to fill this outer screen here. This is actually just the text, so you can kind of move that out of the way for the time being. We're going to resize that in a minute. But then what you're going to do is you're going to click on the actual picture, and you know you chose it because now it's outlined, right? So then you come over here to this scale right over here, and it'll show in the video section, and all you're going to do is move that slide up a little bit until it fills the screen, and we're going to want to fill that outer thing. And then once it's there, once you have that size, you can go ahead and move this around to get the right, it placed kind of where it looks the best. So this one has a cool top, right? So I would probably add more of the top because that's kind of a cool picture. And that's the first picture that's going to be in the screen. So then what you would do here is you can just make that a little bit bigger, and we'll keep that as the first screen that everybody sees because it gives a really good, hey, this is what this this home is. So this one, I'll put the address. And it was priced at, so that's what we want that first one to be. Now you can tell, like looking at it, the words don't come out like really strong. So what we want to do is just go ahead and we'll use this opacity, and we're going to bring that down just a little bit. So that way the white lettering shows up a little bit better. Okay, so that's the first screen. So then what you do is you come over to your slide, go ahead and go to the next picture, and again we're going to have to resize that. So you want to just click on it. Don't worry about the lettering for now. We'll come back to that, and then just make that big, and you see the corners right here. This is not that. This is where we're trying to fill, right? These corners here. So just scale that up, and then if you need to move it around to make it look like it's the best position, do that. And then scoot this over to the next one, same thing. Click on it, bring the scale up, go to the next one, click on it, bring the scale up, and I'm going to pause this and finish this out. Okay, so I now have everything sized correctly. You can see that. And then just as a side note, this is the last slide of the home. So what I did is I added a little bit more to the duration. I went ahead and made that 3 seconds. So the first photo and the last photo get a little bit more duration than everything in the middle. Okay, so now the next thing that you're going to do is add the transitions. So that's that little green thing in between. And there's 2 that I basically use just to keep it simple. So you come up to your transitions, and I like the slide right, that one, because it's just like it gives the same thing like there's swiping. and then barn door. And I kind of mix those up just a little bit, but it's mostly the slide right. So this is the barn door. I do that for the first one. And then when you do the slide right, if you left click, pull it down, and just drag it a little bit to the right, it's going to let you do 2 at a time. So do this and just drag it over. Didn't get that one. And so maybe do like 3, and then about in the middle, just switch it up and do barn door just once. And you'll see I added accidentally that one next to it, so I'm just going to replace it like that. So that should replace it with the slide right. And like I said, you just kind of drag this a little bit onto 2. And then get down to the end. And then for the very last one, we can do a barn door. So we'll do one more here. And then, where's my barn door? Barn door. And this makes it faster or slower if you just drag that. Okay, so that part is that part. And then the next thing that you would do is the text. So this up here, you know, we already changed the first one there, right? And then just kind of slide through. And now these ones actually, okay, I made them dark on the text. So let's do this. It looks like we can go ahead and probably do white text for this. That may show up better. So how to do that is you come up here to the top, and there's 2 things. This is the text. This is that little band, which is this thing right here. And you can use that. I either take a white here and I change the opacity so it's not really like a hard thing. It just shadows it a little bit. Or if your background is very white already, you can change this to a dark color and do the same thing, change the opacity. And then your text would be the opposite. If you do a black background, you do a white text. If you do a white background, you do a black text. And I actually kind of like when you do the darker, if it's just a little bit, it's not like dark, it's just like a steel gray kind of color. So, so to change the text, you do the little thing here, come over and choose, it's like down here. So bring that up to the top. Let's bring that up here, kind of center it. Okay, so let's see how that looks. And then rather than, I mean, I have this here, but you can see they're all the dark text. So if you're going to use white text, an easier thing to do would be to just delete the dark one and make a copy of the one that you did with the white. And then just go ahead and use that. So let's see how that looks. Yeah, so the white seems to look pretty good up there. So we're going to go ahead and I'm going to get rid of all the text ones, and all I have to do is left click and drag it. It's going to highlight all the text on this line like that, and then I can right click and delete it. And so that way all my dark text is done. And then I'm going to go through, and you know this part, just go through the pictures and go ahead and, you know, highlight any cool things about it. And to do that, you can look at what the agent wrote in their, okay, here we go, I had to find it again. So we can see things, it's like Franklin Lofts, it's in downtown Houston, and down here, always the public remarks. You never want to do anything with the agent's remarks because sometimes they'll put stuff in there that the public isn't supposed to be aware of, like vacant or, you know, whatever. So public remarks. So we look at things like where it's located, square footage, anything that would be exciting to people. So luxurious loft living in the heart of Houston. Okay, so that's kind of cool, right? So we can add that. So I'm going to go ahead because you actually know how to do this part. So let's go back to here, and I'm going to add in the text up here. So I'll pause this while I do that. Okay, so now I have all the labeling in here, and what I did, I mean, you can adjust the length of the text, and you just kind of have to use your judgment on that when you're playing it through. Just see if it's too fast for the letters for somebody to read, and if they are, you can just extend that to basically cover 2 frames. And what I did on this one, originally it says like looking for a new family, but this is a 1-bedroom condo in a mid-rise in downtown Houston, so I doubt a family's going to live there. So I just changed the wording out so it says now available. But for most single-family residences, you can use new family. Okay, so here's just a glimpse. Okay, so that's that. Now, the last thing I would need to do is change this out because this isn't Raquel's thing, it's somebody else's. But here's what I'm going to do before I change that. So the template that I used, I have assigned to her. So that way all her branding is there and everything is good to go. So since this is a different agent, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and save it into a new template. So I'm going to save as. And then I'll go ahead and put it into her folder. And this is where I keep it, you keep it where you want. So I'm going to do the draft property video. I can go ahead and leave it as is. It's going into her folder. So I'm going to save it. So then now when I do another video for a property that she is the listing agent for, all that's already set and I don't have to redo that. But the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and change out this last slide here so it's the correct agent. So I'm going to pause it and do that. Okay, just wanted to show you really quick. I'm changing this out for her. And then remember I said I had those logos that they have to do for compliance purpose. So they're actually in here. So if you go into the folders right here, real estate, realtor, and fair housing. So those are a couple versions of that, and you can use this one. Let's go ahead and put that in there. And the other thing that we would need is her the logo for her KW person right here. So we'll go ahead, and that way she's all compliant, and we can just put those in there. And then by doing that, that means that then we can take these things out. So we don't need them on there if it's on that sheet. So I'm going to finish this out. Okay, so I have my new thing. So what I'm going to do is choose the media. So I'm going to get rid of that one and put in that one. I may have to delete this because it might not, I deleted that transition because it may not go through correctly. So we'll just add a new one. So it should be a little bit on both. Sometimes if it's only on like one side, it kind of shows up weird. Okay. So that is that. Let me make sure that worked. Okay, so that worked well. Now the only other thing that you'll notice is the music runs out, and this is because I had already kind of cut it off before. for the other one. So I'm going to go ahead and re-put that in there because there should be plenty. I think it's this one here. I'm going to delete that off the line. And then I'll go ahead and pull this down. Make sure it starts at the very beginning. Okay, so now I have the new music in there, and then this is what I wanted to see. I want the music to extend a little bit beyond the end of the video. And then what I'll do is I'm going to cut this off. So I'm going to go ahead and click this. Whenever you'll know what track you're working on because it's going to be highlighted in yellow. So I know I'm working on this one. I'm going to move this over because I actually wanted to cut off maybe about there. And I'm going to use this icon right here. This is where it splits what's in there. So you can see it just split it, so I can move this around, right? And then I want to right click that and I'm going to delete it. And then, because I'm still at 54 seconds, so that's good. And then the final thing is I want to have the music kind of fade out. So I'm going to put this at the very end. And if you ever needed to move this around, you can. If you want to move the volume, it's up and down here. Okay? So, let's see how that looks. Okay, so that's it. So you see how it kind of tapered off at the end? I like that. Okay, so this looks good. We're going to go ahead and, oh, you know what? I forgot one more thing. I usually like to put their logo kind of in the bottom corner here. So let's do that. This was the other person. Okay, I found her logo, and let's see. We're going to go ahead. I'm going to add it in right here. So I'm going to add, insert a track, I'll insert it below, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull her logo here, and I'll put it all the way across to the end up until we do her end banner, and then I'm just going to make it kind of small and put it in the bottom right here. And then that's very white, so I'm going to bring the opacity down just a little bit. Okay, because I want it there, but to kind of be unobtrusive. That still might be a little bright for me, so bring it down a little. Okay, cool. All right, so that looks good. So then I'm going to go ahead and save it. So it's share. Do local file, and remember we're at the 16:9 size, right? This is the kind of wide one. MP4 is what we want. Next, and then I usually label it like this. So RE for real estate, then agent's name, and then the address of the property. And all those words I use in there, I do because the name of any video file can be the spider crawls for like when people are searching for stuff. it will read the name of that file. So I want to put the agent's name in there, I put the address in there, I put the city, state, condo, house, and I put for sale. So that way it's all in there. And I'm going to make sure I put this in the right folder. And this is just, the folders are just like me internally as I'm going through there. You can do whatever you want. And I do not need to put it in a, this will just give you like a separate folder. So it'll give you a folder, and then inside that folder will be the video. I usually uncheck that. So we'll let that render because there's one more thing after that's done that you'll do. And what you're going to do is resize the video then as a square. What I found is the square ones we need for Instagram, and really that's it. But the wider ones actually look better on like YouTube and Facebook and LinkedIn. So I kind of switched out. I was doing all squares, and I thought, you know what? We only use the square one time, so we'll just do two, and it's not too horrible. So let me finish this out, and then I will show you how to do that. Okay, so now this is done. That's awesome. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do, and I'm going to save this one more time. So now I saved it. I have a draft. This is what it's called. It's for that size. So now I know this is good as it is. Okay, so the next thing and the final step on the video is to size it as a square. So what you're going to do is you're going to come up to the top. Remember, you want to save all this first, and that way all your work is saved, and if you have to go back and change anything, it's there. And if you even wanted to, you could do File and Save As and save this size for this address, and then that way if something does need to be changed on it, you can easily go back and do it. Okay, I do that a lot of the time. Just save it. Okay, so what you do is come up here, and yours might look a little different if you're using that other version, but come up to the size and do project settings, and then do custom, and you're going to just change this here so it's 1080 1080, which you've done before. Okay, so now we've got a square that we're looking at. So that's going to size it as a square, which is great. And what you can do if you want, once you resize it, go ahead and save it as. You can do the draft, and you can do Instagram. So then that way you're just extra sure that you're not losing the other video that you just created. So now you can come up here, you're going to see that it's 1020 or 1080. So all you have to do here now, everything's been done, you just have to move a few things. So like right here, you know, we can't see this logo because it's way over here. So when you click on this, it's going to show you what this is. Just bring it over into the square, and then just move the cursor across. Usually then you have to kind of change the wording because it's going to be a little bit big. Then come over here, just bring the words in. Come over, bring the words in. And then just as you're going through, just take a look at the pictures. Make sure that the way they're centered still looks good. Like this is all TV, so what I would do is say, hey, let's bring some of that brick in there. Just move the picture around. That one still looks good. Is there anything there we need? It's kind of centered correctly. That looks good. That looks good. Looks good. Looks good. Looks good. This one, see how it has a lot of closet? Nobody cares about the closet. Let's bring this over. That has a lot of door. Let's bring this over. Let's see what's important here. Like that top. Ceiling. Same thing here, open door. Let's bring this over and just make sure we're getting the best look here. And this, see how one of the things is when you have a lot of space on the bottom here, whether that's a lawn or whatever, you can bring it down if it makes sense to show more of what's above. But in this one, we're actually at the top, so that's okay. Okay, and then here, what we're going to do, let's go ahead and scale this down. Now, if I was going to do this the right way, I would actually make a square graphic and swap that in, and I probably will do that in the future, but for right now, let's go ahead and we're just going to do that. And then the last step is just to double check the thing to make sure everything looks good. Okay, that's why I always run it through. See, I forgot to do that one. And same thing there. There it is. Okay, so now we have a square video. And again, do that. MP4. That's more for my purposes. And I can unclick that because I don't need a subfolder, and then finish. So now I have the two videos, and you can see that that took, you know, with the explanations, when me turn it off, maybe 45 minutes. But once you kind of get this down, you should be able to do them in about a half hour. And then the other thing I wanted to show you while this is doing that is I did buy some more music. And what I'm looking for is just stuff that's like kind of upbeat, because people are like all stressed out, so let's make them happy. So if you come over to, what's the normal place? So right here, music in here. I think I put them all in here. So there's some more music in here that we can use for the videos. Try not to use the stuff that sounds like too much like elevator music. It can be upbeat, so like I think I did like country, jazz, soul, whatever, but just kind of that up tempo, because it kind of matches the speed of the video. Okay, so hopefully that's helpful, and thank you, and I will talk to you soon. Bye.